As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to episode 35 of Zero to Hero. We've got another great guest to kick off the year here, another man of many hats. He's actually a former Kansas City Royal. He is a MLB analyst. He's a keynote speaker, a motivational speaker. His name is Les Norman. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Les Norman. How you doing, Les?
You know what's up, man? It's great to be on the show today. The episode you said kick off a year, man. I'm honored. I don't feel like I'm worthy of kicking this off for the beginning of the year. So thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Oh man, we disagree. We think you're more than a worthy guest to come on, man. That's why we scheduled it with you. So we're privileged to have you. So, for the people out there that are watching that maybe don't know who Les Norman is, who is Les? Give us a couple sentences. Give us your elevator pitch on who you are.
Oh, buddy. Who am I? Well, this could differ even in my own house with my two sons and my bride. Yeah. First of all, I'm a man of faith. I'm a husband and I'm a father at the very core of everything. I live foundationally off of that. I mean, what we do is not who we are. However, what we do kind of reflects, and how we do that obviously reflects the values that we have and those foundations. And so what I do, like you said, I'm a keynote motivational speaker. I'm on the Royals Alumni Board of Directors. And so I work a lot with the Royals and Alumni Fantasy Camp and some different events and things like that. I'm a men's certified advanced life coach. I do executive coaching and one-on-one life coaching for men. On Spectrum Sports, we have the Royals Blue Zone show, so I do that. I do some college as an analyst, some college baseball and softball, some high school baseball and softball. And then now I just tapped into being a sideline analyst for high school basketball. That is a blast, by the way. If you can get that gig, do it, because it is fun to watch those youth, the youth get after it. And then executive coaching and for some companies and businesses, I train their prospects in servant leadership. I've been doing that for about 5 years. So I get to travel, my family gets to go with me, so it's a lot of fun, and that's what I do.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome. And it all starts with, at home, just like you said, right? I mean, what we do outside of the home is often a reflection of what's going on in the home. So I love that. That is perfect. So tell us a little bit about your social media journey, Les. Obviously, us being a digital marketing agency, right? Social media is important, and we realize that it's becoming more important as the years go on. So tell us about your journey, with Les Norman and everything that you're doing. What's it been like?
Yeah, this whole thing started with social media for me at the beginning. I was just a Facebook guy that wanted to keep track of family and friends and post some pictures and see everybody else's journey. But I wasn't real versed on that. The whole thing started when about 12 years ago, we're getting ready to enter, I think year 13, complete 12 years with my radio show, Breaking the Norm, which appears on at Union Broadcasting on Sports Radio 810, WHB, and then on 1510 and 94.5 FM, ESPN Kansas City. And so it started where I was a big fan after I retired from baseball of listening to sports radio. I love the different sports, the topics. I really want to look into people's mind. What drives these athletes? How are these coaches? Why do they make the decisions they make? And what they're like behind the scenes, like what you guys are kind of doing with me right now and peeling this onion back. And as I got into listening to sports radio, it was all negative. I felt like the negative vibe permeated. It was like the shock jock, and it was all about, well, let's just get the listeners. It doesn't matter what we say. And I once learned from a mentor of mine, behind every face, there's a drama unfolding. He used to always quote that. And it really stuck with me when I was with the Royals. He was our chaplain at the time, Mike Lasardi, who has since passed away a couple of years ago. And that just made me, we want to judge other people. We want to make ourselves feel better as human beings by running other people down. And I just didn't like that. And I heard a commercial that said, hey, if you want to start your own show, and I don't even think I heard the rest, said, let's do something positive. And so we did an experiment for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and I was a really bad radio host. I wasn't very good at it because I had no broadcast training. I hadn't done any TV yet for the Royals or games or college, high school, whatever, but the content was good. I knew we had a content to put positive stories out there that would really resonate with people. So I studied other people, and then I realized, oh, not only do you need to get better, but you need to build the brand. And in order to build the brand, you got to get out there. And a big part of that was social media. And so, man, I dove in, and I wasn't great at that either, but I studied other people that were successful, how they do things, how they went about building it up. But the goal was always the same, Gino. It was make sure you put a good product out there that really can make other people's lives better, to inspire other people. Me and myself, I have always sought to be inspired, and I don't think you have the ability to inspire other people unless you seek inspiration yourself. And so I did that. I studied other people. I got better, always getting better. I don't think you've ever arrived. Any of us have ever arrived. Once you think you've arrived, you're going to get stagnant. And you know that in social media. I mean, you got to keep changing and get with other people the way they're doing things. And so that's probably a little bit too long of a version, but that's how I dove in. And everything that we do is about enriching the lives of other people and inspiring other people.
No, I absolutely love that. I mean, and there is so much negativity, even on social media, right? On the radio,
Yes.
As sports guys that listen to 810 and 610 here in Kansas City, right? I mean, we hear it, we know that stuff. So it is important. But the one thing that I pulled from that is you didn't know what you were doing, but you did it anyways, right? You knew that it needed to be done. So you went full bore, and then realized that, hey, there's more that I need to learn here, and you went out and you took that upon yourself to do that, right? And I think that's one of the big things. A lot of the companies that we work with, they're either don't have the time to do social media, they don't know how to do it, right? Or they don't want anything to do with it, right? And that's one of the things. It's like, man, you just got to do it and be consistent, right? Those are like kind of the two big things, and then be you. That's all people really care about. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be professional, right? It's just got to be who you are, and you've just got to do it to let people know, right?
It's great that you said that. Yeah, just getting out there and doing it. That's, I think, the number one obstacle of people is they'll tell themselves, I'm not qualified. They're better than me. And they want to compare themselves or measure themselves up, or I've got to get perfect before I even start. And I once heard someone a long time ago, I think I had just gotten out of college and I was breaking into my professional career as a player, that courage is the absence of fear. And I think that's absolutely the wrong definition. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness and the ability to get out there and do something in spite of that fear. And I've grown as a public speaker to not worry about what other people think. And that's not in the sense of not caring about what other people think, knowing that no matter what you do, and the more you're out there, you're going to have naysayers. There's a lot of insecure people out there. There's a lot of people that want to point fingers and beat other people down, but you got to realize that going in. And so it wasn't about, oh, I've got to be perfect and I'm not going to get out there. If that were the case, I'd never get out there. You'd never get out there. None of us would ever do what we want to do with passion unless we just got out there and did it. And so that gave me confidence, like, oh, I don't have to be fearless. I have to get out there, and then I can deal with my fear as I go. So it's a great point that you made. Just get out there no matter what it is. If you've got passion, get out there and do it. You'll figure it out along the way, and you're going to fail. But failure is the best lesson that you can learn on a daily basis to make you better, make you continue to fuel your passion. And I'll end this point with this. Most people think, well, I just want to be happy. And happiness and sadness, I believe, is based on the outside circumstances that pound this round, bald head of mine. They bounce off you. And if you live in the happiness and sadness, you're going to be up one day, down another day. But the joy that we can have starts in your heart, goes upward into your head, and then flows out. You can be joyful in sad times or rough times because that allows you to get better and build your passion. So focus on joy. Happiness and sadness are going to come and go. That's life. But if you can learn the secret of living joyfully and just getting out there and doing what you want with passion, man, you're going to be joyful and you're going to be successful at the same time.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. You know, it's man, that's so good, right? I mean, it's that positive mental outlook, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
knowing that, you know, hey, I can't control everything. I was actually just talking with one of my
Right.
coworkers, Cody, about this, right? My 2023, and I've kind of always had this philosophy, but I'm leaning more into it this year specifically, making it more of a goal to only control the things that I can control,
That's
right?
right. Yeah,
Sadness is
that's
going to
right.
come, happiness is going to come, but yeah, I mean, you can always put the joy out in the world regardless of whether
Hmm.
you're happy or sad. And you know, part of me always also feels like that's a choice, right?
It is a choice. And look, I'll be honest with you. Again, I've been in radio for 12, going on 13 years. I've been doing the stuff that I've been doing since I retired back in 2000. So I'm over 20 years of continuing to build and develop my brand and all, like you said, all the many hats that I'm wearing. I've got a closet full of hats and I keep throwing hats in the closet. But I'm still working on that. There are days where I'm not joyful. And luckily, I am married to my best friend. We're going on next month. Will be 26 years
Oh,
married
that's
and
awesome.
28 years together. And when I think of someone that I need to talk to as a best friend, it's always my bride. And she always keeps me accountable. And accountability is telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And she does it in a loving way, but she always challenges me. Look, you've got that look on your face. You look like you're mad. I'm a deep thinker all the time, and I'm not always mad, but I also have to remember, if you focus on the things that bring you joy every day, even if you have to write them down, put them on the wall, put it next to your bed on your nightstand, put it on your phone and set a reminder every day, then that will be what permeates your conversation, your action, your facial expressions. But so much that's inside of us comes out, and if we don't really focus on that joy each day, then we're not going to be as productive and we're not going to be as inspiring, and the people around us that we love the most or work with will be directly affected by that. And so it's important for us to surround ourselves with people that keep us accountable and allows to bring that joy out. And I love the fact that she does that because, again, being such a deep thinker, my face doesn't always express it because of all the hats that I wear. So it's important to understand that joy's got to come out, and that starts with the day. Start at the beginning of the day. What brings me joy? What am I thankful for? And then the rest of that just flies out.
That's so good. That is so awesome. Yeah, let's keep it going. We could talk about that for probably another
Yeah.
hour or so, right?
Yep.
But
Yeah.
let's keep it
Sorry.
going. I got a lot of stuff. No. I'm like I got so many things I want to say, but we've only got so much time, and I only got you for so much time. So let's keep it going. So Les, every superhero has a defining moment. What is yours when it comes to your life and your career?
Oh gosh. The first one again, as a man of faith. I mean, I grew up with a really difficult childhood. I had a dad that was super abusive, man, and to points that could go on for hours. And then one day I came home from school when I was 12 years old, and he was gone, and I never saw him again. And
Mm,
so I went through from like age 12 up into my 20s, even as a professional athlete, just wandering around trying to figure out life on my own and not having that good father figure in my life that told me, hey, you are a real man and this is what real men do. And so again, trial and error, feeling alone all the time for those really important years of my life was tough. But when I first signed, I had a gentleman who was a coach that shared faith in God with me
mm,
and understanding who Jesus was. And so that was the biggest defining moment in my life. The second defining moment was we don't have enough time to to describe how I met my bride. It was some crazy circumstances, but again, having my best friend as along with me for the ride and me along with her for her ride every day. That's another defining moment. And I feel like every day I'm aware of defining moments. And so I think the big two were coming to my faith in God and then meeting and marrying my bride. It was not a very long courtship. It was the right decision. I'll just say this. I sat in the locker room in Kansas City, just saying, God, I've messed up every relationship in my life. I just want you to know that I'm done with relationships. I'm in the big leagues. I'm going to focus on that. And 7 days later, I met her. And two guys set us up. We didn't even know each other, but these two teenagers set us up and said, hey, this girl wants to meet you. She didn't. And said to her, hey, this guy wants to meet you. I didn't. And then a year and a half later, we were married. And that was almost 30 years ago. So crazy times, but those are the two big defining moments. And those are what I have built my brand and my business, my bride and my business off of, because again, our faith and our marriage and family are the true foundation of who we are. And we just build everything off of that.
That's so good. Yeah, it's so funny. You're sitting in the locker room telling God you're playing, and he's laughing at you.
You know what? It's great that you say that. I always tell that story, the short version of that story, that is proof that God has a sense of humor, because it's almost as if I felt him chuckling at me, like, oh, really? That's what you're going to do? All right. Okay. Well, at least now that you've given up on it, now I'm going to show you who I want you to be with. And literally a week later, there she was.
Now that you've surrendered, huh? Wow.
Yep. That's it.
So powerful. And it's, it's so cool too. We ask that question every show, what's your defining moment? And I love when there's multiple, right? It's not always just one thing that says, hey, this is where I'm at, or this is why I am where I am here. If I were to be asked that question, I think I could probably come up with 4 or 5 or 10 of them. Right. But those are powerful. Those are powerful too, man. Finding Christ and then finding your wife of almost 30 years. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool. One of the things that this was, and I'll try to be quick with this because I know we want to move on. But I had a guest 10 years ago that he was on TV. He was a former original American Gladiator, the original TV show. And just for some reason, I didn't have this scripted, but I just asked him the question at the end of the show, hey, when you look in the mirror, not the physical, but when you look in the mirror, what do you see? And he couldn't answer the question. And I thought, you know what? We might be onto something here, because I think most people might have the same response. And so the more high profile the guest that was more well known, I would ask that question at the end of the show. And a lot of PR reps would say, hey, give us the questions that you're going to ask our guests so they're prepared. And I would oblige, but I would never include that question, because you don't have to ask, because conversations happen on the radio organically, even on TV, and even our conversation here, a lot of it could be organic, even though you know what questions you're going to ask, but you don't know what the guest is going to say.
Right.
And so with my servant leadership and executive training that I do for companies, part of the training, we teach them to how to invest in yourself, how to be inspired so you can inspire, how to be healthy emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically. And so I'll ask those people the questions. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? And over 90% of them instantly break down. Their peers are in the room. It doesn't matter even if it's in a business sense. And so after that question, they have to look at me. And then after they answer the question, then they turn around and I have each person speak life into them and say, okay, what is something that you like or love about this person? And then they break down even more, because human beings are so geared toward the failures in life or what they do. And I feel like I'm helping provide them an opportunity for a defining moment. Like, this is what you've been led to believe, but that's not who you are. Now let's let your peers show you what they think of you, and then they're allowed to step into that potential that maybe they didn't know they had, or maybe they were pushing off because they felt like, I can give myself permission to beat myself up and be my own worst critic. I'll end with this. And Gino, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to turn the tables on you. As an athlete or as somebody that's a business professional, most times when we have these thoughts of negativity, have you ever noticed that most of the time it's in our own voice? Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. Yes. It's really funny. Here's the thing. I was talking with Logan Stacer about this on Tuesday, just on our last episode, right? And it's so true. I mean, you're constantly bombarding yourself with negativity, right?
Yes.
Always. And a couple of years ago, I learned, and I'll say the same thing that I said on Tuesday, it takes 10 times the amount of positivity to counteract that one negative thought, right?
Yes.
So for one negative, you've got to put in 10 positives, right? But I wonder if that changes when you're doing it in the way that you do it, right? Where you're saying, okay, tell me who you are, and then turn around, right? And have your peers tell you who, oh my gosh. I mean,
Yeah.
I could see that easily cutting it in half, right? Because it is coming from an outside source, right? That sees the
Right.
world differently than you and sees you differently than you see yourself, right? So
Hmm.
I could definitely
Yeah.
see that being a defining moment of, hey, I've been thinking about myself the wrong way for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And effectively
Yeah.
changing that positive outlook to where it's easier to tell yourself those positive things, right? And to counteract
Yeah.
that stuff.
The very first session I did with one of my very first people in this first organization business company I worked with, there was a young lady who had a pretty important role, but she just I just do everything myself, and it was a family struggle. It was a work struggle. She was good at what she did, but she had no time. There was no work life balance, and she did not think positively of herself at all. We went through that. She was bought in. She was one of those that really struggled with it and was in tears. She sat down and was in tears before I even asked the question.
Mm.
And after she saw it and just learned the emails that I received from her over the years, I think she had like in the next year 3 different promotions because she learned
Wow.
how good she was. She learned how to delegate. She learned how to help people and invest in other people. She learned how to schedule time for herself and her family, knowing that that really was more important. She learned how to invest in herself. And so I think she even said that was a defining moment in my life, not in the sessions. And so, and it's not about what I do that I bring that to people so much as we just kind of help facilitate that through people, that they can have that defining moment because it springboards them into a whole nother stratosphere that they didn't even realize they could achieve. And that's the thing that brings me the most joy in what I do.
Yeah, giving them the tools to succeed is, I mean, if you don't
Yes.
have the tools, there's no way, it's ever going to happen. So,
Imagine going up to bat without a bat in your hand.
oh gosh. Yeah.
Baseball thing.
Hoping that the pitcher walks you, I guess.
There you go.
So, Les, what are the attributes that define a hero to you?
Ooh, I think they're selfless first and foremost. I mean, service is everything. One of the things I try to tell people that when you're feeling down and can't get out, you don't know what to do, what to think, what to feel, just go serve somebody. Go serve in a food pantry. If you have the means, go pay for someone's groceries. Go rake someone's leaves. Go do something because there's always somebody that's got it worse, or it will flip the script on you right away. And so for me, a hero is somebody who's selfless. They serve other people. And being selfless and serving other people is not foregoing your own needs. We have to, again, be able to invest in ourselves, but it's someone who lives to serve other people. It's someone who will invest in themselves consistently so they can be the best version of themselves. I mean, I could go list all these attributes. That character is important. Having character, being a good moral fiber, having integrity, being truthful in what you say. Another thing that I really love the way my bride is loyal and smart and discerning, but she always says, "Honey, you can tell me anything you want to tell me, but it's when you live it out that makes me feel safe and that I know you're truthful." You can tell I'm married to a rock star for sure, but
Absolutely.
if I can prove things to her, that's where she feels safe and strong in our relationship. But if I talk and it doesn't match, the foundation and ground's a little bit shaky. So people with character, high morals, good integrity, those are aspects of a hero. And I think the final thing is the accountability, like I talked about before. None of us can get things right all the time. And so I have 2 different men in my life that I keep them accountable, but they keep me accountable, and they've got full permission to tell me what I need to hear instead of what I want to hear. Because if it's just what I want to hear, that's just a fair weather friend, and we can find those anywhere. They'll always, yeah, they'll encourage us, but they'll be positive. I need to, in a loving way, someone to look at me and say, "Hey, that's not right, man. I need you to rethink that." And so accountability, character, integrity, serving other people, putting other people first. And then finally, I would say being a good listener, listening to people instead of always wanting to talk. And I talk a lot, as you can tell. I'm on the radio and TV. But there are seasons where I need to shut my mouth and I need to listen and take good notes and learn about other people so I'm able to serve them in a way that builds them up.
That's so good. Yeah, and that goes right back into the being selfless, right? I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's so much easier to listen and hear what people's true needs are, right? When you're not so worried about what's going on in your own head.
Yep.
So
That's
if
good.
you had to pick any superhero or one superhero that relates to you, Les Norman, who would that be and why?
Okay, so I'm going to give you two quick answers here, man. I'm thinking that you're asking superhero based on like the Marvel universe or DC or something like that. So am I guessing right that that's kind of where you're going with that?
That's where the question comes from, but I'm curious to hear
Got it.
what your answer is. Yeah.
Yeah. So first and foremost, again, as a man of faith, my superhero is Jesus, bar none. You know, to live a sinless life and to die for my sins and everybody's sins, and yet didn't deserve it, but saved me from an eternity in hell. Superhero, bar none. That the fact that he loves me, and if you read the Bible, you can see all the sacrifices. Jesus came to serve and love and sacrifice his own life. Was tortured for the things that I did wrong. That doesn't seem fair, and yet he did it lovingly and willingly. He is all time my superhero. If we go to the Marvel universe, I'm a Marvel guy, not a DC guy. Not against DC, but I'm more of the Marvel superhero. I mean, man, that's a tough one. I would say there's attributes of each one. Maybe it seems like a cop out answer. I think that I like Iron Man because everybody was annoyed by that dude because the character by Robert Downey Jr. He's wealthy and all that, but he really got out there and got after it and would fight, and yet he had a bad heart, and yet he still went out there and fought. I like Thor because Thor's a little bit goofy, yet he's so strong and wants to get after it. And I don't see my physical strength like Thor in any way, but what I see is he's so stubborn and doesn't necessarily want to listen sometimes, but yet he always wants in the end for things to be done right. And so maybe it's a combination of Iron Man and Thor. Yeah, there are other superheroes that may be smaller attributes, but I like watching them for those sense because they make mistakes. They're not perfect, and yet they have the courage to go out and sacrifice for other people.
That's good. Yeah, and I love the OG superhero, man. Our Lord and Savior. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Yeah, I don't know.
Amen, brother.
Kevin has talked about it a few times on the show, but J29 is Jeremiah 29:11. That's where that comes from. So we're big on that over here too. So Les, how can people get a hold of you, man? How can they find you? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, so first is the website. It's just lesnorman.com. There's all stuff about the podcast, radio, coaching. I wrote a hitting book that helps people that maybe aren't professionals, high school kids, parents that I'm just coaching my son's softball team and I have my daughter's softball team, son's baseball team. I've got no idea. The book stuff's on there. You can go there. My Twitter handle is at lnorman22. I'm active on there, just promoting the show and just following different people as well. And then the radio show airs. My Breaking the Norm is the name of my show. I just interviewed a former big leaguer who made a bad decision and ended up going to prison for 3.5 years. But now he's sharing his story in a book and in interviews to bring glory to the Lord, man, and just share that how. And we talked about the number 3 in the interview. Jonah in the belly of the whale 3 days. Jesus crucified, died and rose again on the 3rd day. And so he was in there for 3 years, and he just intentionally turned his life toward the Lord, and now he's trying to glorify God through it. And so that's Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on 94.5 FM and 1510 AM, and then the replay is Saturday mornings at 7 on Sports Radio 810. So those 3 are the key places that you can get a hold of me. And then the email, just les@lesnorman.com.
Perfect. And they can find that on the website as well, right?
Absolutely. Just lesnorman.com. It's not an ego thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's just simply my name was available and I figured, hey, that's the brand. Let's run with it.
That's branding, ladies and gentlemen, right there. You got to keep it consistent all the way across. Yep. So that's perfect. Les, thanks for being a guest on the show, man. It was a pleasure to have you on and hearing your amazing outlook on life, and look forward to doing some stuff with you in the future.
Absolutely, man. Gino, I'm honored to be on here. Thank you so much. And again, if people want to get a hold of me, but thank you for putting your faith and what you guys stand for in Jeremiah 29:11 and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's huge because in business, that's not a welcome thing in this world. And the further we get, it's less and less welcome. So you guys are rock stars and heroes for putting that out there, thank you so much for just being that platform and that banner for Christ.
Oh, we appreciate that, man. As always, just doing what we can. So, Les, again, thank you guys. You guys out there watching, have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.